Hello and welcome to Force of Light Entertainment. I'm your host Michelle, and with me is my co-host, my sister Natalie.
'Tis I.
This is episode 45, and if you have not yet, we encourage you to please subscribe to the podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Also, give this video a thumbs up and hit the notification bell. That way you know every time we upload videos. And also, for either podcast listeners or YouTube watchers, if you enjoy the content at Force of Light Entertainment and you think of someone that you think would enjoy these discussions or these reviews also, we encourage you to share our podcast or share our YouTube channel or video with someone else.
As they say, sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. And we want to thank, we've had a lot of new YouTube subscribers in the past week, and we just want to say thank you to all of you who have subscribed. We appreciate it, and welcome to the Force of Light Entertainment community.
Yes.
Where we keep it positive for the most part.
Yes.
We even keep our negativity positive, but it's a loving, positive community, so welcome.
That we want you to be a part of and feel welcome in.
Yes. Yes, and we definitely love hearing from all of you all, so don't be shy in the comments. As long as you're not going to be mean. But we love hearing from you guys. And, so kind of moving in today, and at the end of the video, because we hit our goal of subscribers, we will have the trivia for the Baby Yoda. You're not going to get this one, obviously. You'll get a new one. But the Baby Yoda Funko Pop. So, wait, be patient, and we will get to that at the end.
Good things come to those who wait.
That's right. But today we are going to be discussing the Netflix movie Enola Holmes. So join the conversation and let's talk some Enola. Okay, this is going to be too, we already have, if you are listening on podcasts, we have a non-spoiler review that we did that is exclusively on YouTube. So if you've not watched it, you may want to go to that, or if you're watching us, you may want to jump to that video first if you've not watched this. Because this is going to be a spoiler-filled discussion. Nothing's off limits. We're going to discuss whatever we want in this movie. So you have been warned.
We're going to investigate.
We are.
We will be detectives of this movie.
Yes, so you've been warned. All right. So we will give our initial thoughts, and then we'll kind of work our way through characters and scenes that we liked and that type of thing. So my initial thoughts of this movie were that I really liked it. And especially if you guys have already watched our non-spoiler review, you know that we gave it 5 out of 5 stars for a Netflix movie. And, so needless to say, I really enjoyed this movie. And I've now watched it as of this recording. I have now watched this movie twice. And I will probably watch this movie at least another time. I genuinely enjoyed it.
Yes, you will.
And anyone who listens or watches knows that I do not mind to have multiple viewings of something I enjoy.
Michelle is a repeat viewer to the max.
I am, yes. It lets you know how much I really love something. If I only watch something once,
take it or leave it.
Yeah, but if I really like something, I'll watch it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. You never know. But
22.
But as of the recording, I've only watched this twice. But I enjoyed it just as much the second time, if not even a little bit more. Not even necessarily more. I really enjoyed it again the second time.
Sometimes, you just catch more on the second watch.
You do, especially in something like this. You're definitely going to catch more. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think as I said in our non-spoiler review, I think the pacing of this movie is fantastic. I really enjoy how Millie Bobby Brown's character is narrating throughout the movie. I think that just really works.
Very cute.
It is. I really enjoy it. Again, I like that it's a finally Netflix gave us something that's family friendly. You can watch with really anyone and enjoy. For I think a broad range of age groups will find this movie enjoyable.
And I particularly thought, and I'm sure there'll be some boys that love it too. I'm not counting them out, but I kind of particularly thought, like maybe 10-year-old girls and up with their parents or a parent or something would probably really like watching this together.
Yes. And like you said,
Maybe especially even a mother-daughter, you know.
and like you said, not to rule out boys, because I think that there's a lot of men that will enjoy this movie.
Yes.
Definitely. So it is not. I say that to say it's not exclusively female. I think men will enjoy this. If you like, as we get into these characters, Millie Bobby Brown, Henry Cavill. I mean, I think you're gonna enjoy it. And I am someone who really enjoys the character of Sherlock Holmes in general. I like mysteries, and I love Sherlock. I mean, Sherlock, he's the greatest detective in the world. I mean, in any novelization, he's just known as the best.
True. Top of his game.
He is. And he's just such a fun, brilliant character that was written so many years ago. And they've done multiple different interpretations of him. Some set in modern time, some set like this in a period piece. And every time, I love Sherlock. So if you enjoy the character of Sherlock, I think you will, I think you probably enjoy, I think we're talking to people, we need to realize they probably have watched it if they're listening to this. So if you like the character Sherlock, you probably enjoyed this movie, in my opinion. And I say that unless you're someone listening who just doesn't care and just spoil, sometimes, I mean, some people don't care to be spoiled.
Yeah.
That are listening. But, so that's kind of, Natalie, any of your initial thoughts?
A lot of the same. I really enjoyed it. Like you said, I think the pacing was great. There's not really a lot of slowness, but if they do have a moment to slow down, it's for a good emotional reason, for some kind of connection or something, or character building. I love Millie Bobby Brown in this. I just think, as we said in our spoiler-free review, she's fantastic. Her ability to nail emotion is spot on. And her physical skills, which I watched a little bit like on her Instagram behind the scenes, like she did all the fighting, and they were saying how she picked it up so fast, in fact, that sometimes they'd be like, slow down Millie, because she would just get the fighting sequences so easily.
Well, I guess Natalie has jumped into our character discussion. So we'll just move in to Enola Holmes, who is played by Millie Bobby Brown. And as you were saying, Natalie, yes, she just did a fantastic job. I mean, all across the board.
I have to say, I guess obviously she was the standout for me, clearly.
Yeah, I mean, she should be. It's her movie.
Right.
I mean, it is Enola Holmes.
She is Enola.
And she is Enola Holmes, so that works. And back to something you said before I really dive into Millie Bobby Brown. Something that you said in that about it not being paced nice. It's important when we say it slows down. It has these...
And I mean literally for like a couple minutes or,
Yes, but I want to specify in that it's not, though, that the movie's moving too fast and that it has to slow down. It truly is paced good. It's fast-paced, but not in a way that you're like, whoa, we're moving too fast.
What's going on? Or why does so-and-so care about so-and-so? Or, it's like they let the relationships move along nicely, I think.
Yes, I think this movie it's 2 hours and 3 minutes. I think it has fantastic character development from all these characters. So we'll begin now talking about characters. Oh, and I want to say too, and this kind of falls into the character development. I really enjoyed the use of flashbacks in this movie between her and her mother, and they put them like perfectly throughout the movie.
Yes.
And some of them were humorous, some of them were kind of touching and used as emotional moments. But all
just to really show the special bond she had with her mom.
Yes. So it really, that's where you more so establish the relationship of the mother and daughter is through all the flashbacks that they're doing, since the mom has pretty much vanished from the get-go from the very start of the movie. She's already gone. She's telling you.
Gone.
Yeah, she's left. And so I really like that, because sometimes flashbacks, as you said in our non-spoiler, sometimes
They can be a little cheesy.
They can, but they really worked here. Truly, we're good.
But like I said, sometimes they can be very helpful.
Yes, and I want to say, too, this movie, to me, it's very fun and lighthearted. That's why it's a good family movie. But it also is very heartfelt. It's heartwarming, this movie. So it's able to...
And some of that is due to the awesome acting.
Yes. Yeah, and it's able to have all these things together, which is why we gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I mean, when you can put all these things together in one movie, it's what makes a good movie.
Yes.
So we'll kind of move in now, as Natalie had already began talking about Millie Bobby Brown's acting job in this. And, I feel like I'm repeating some of the things I said. We will repeat a little, but we'll move into
try
other
not
stuff.
be too redundant.
Yes, but I mean, this was truly, it was like one of those wow. I think you just get used to her playing 11 on Stranger Things, and it's just kind of like, oh, her acting's great, but you just get so used to it. It's just what you expect from her as 11. So,
because in that she relies a lot more on
emotion
and her emotion through her face acting.
Yes.
Because, even as it goes on, Eleven's not a big talker.
No.
That's just not who she is, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Enola is much more talkative.
Enola, that's what's so awesome. That's what allows you to see. I feel like Enola's a great character, and so is 11, but they're two incredibly different characters. Enola is spunky and talkative and a little quirky, and 11 is kind of robotic. So it's...
Yes. And in a way, 11, not that we're trying to get into Stranger Things. Now it's becomes about Stranger Things. But, she's kind of insecure in a way to have all these powers. She's very, and obviously from her background.
Because she's learning. She's got so much is new to her.
Yeah, she's like a fish out of water, whereas Enola is actually...
very confident.
The woman she's been raised by, she's actually a very confident young lady, and it's kind of like... What is up with the society we live in? It's like her mother's kind of raised her to be her own woman and her own thinker. And she's, I don't want to be confined to this life that I'm supposed to have. And, it is kind of sad back then. Kind of, what your prospects were as a woman.
And, kind of getting into that. To me, this character reminded me of kind of a classic, almost Jane Austen type character.
Yes.
Enola Holmes' character did. Of being a woman that's ahead of her time, basically.
Right, exactly.
So that's always fun in a timepiece, and she's just...
And also kind of a coming of age in a sense, because, and learning to stand on her own 2 feet, like she has been taught so much, but it's kind of like the mother bird letting the baby bird, spread its wings and fly, and that's very much what's happening here.
Yeah, very much. And so Enola Holmes, great character. There's just so many great moments that she has, acting moments in this movie. You mentioned when Mycroft is in the car with her and yells and she just starts crying.
It was so believable. I'm like, I feel like we've all been there before. Like somebody, reacts in a way to us like that. And just sometimes, even especially maybe as a young female, and just to kind of have that true pain and, reaction of this person's, what do I say? The way that they've talked to you. So it's just, she's... awesome.
Yeah, great acting, totally. And there's so many fun moments, like even... This movie's just a lot of fun. I'm going to use that word probably multiple times throughout it. I don't know, it made me laugh both times when she's like trying on new clothes and she's like, I must become what they don't expect or something. She's like, a lady. And just the way Millie Bobby Brown plays the role, it's just so likable. That's the thing. This is... her as Enola Holmes is such an incredibly likable character.
And the way in that scene she kind of, it's like she encourages herself. Because she's like, normally these things, all those very restrictive things.
The corset.
That do look like torture devices, to us nowadays. She's like, they're worn for this and for that. But for me, it's to hide my money, and she's just like building herself. That's why I'm doing this, So she's very positive with herself and her outlook on life.
She is. And I enjoy the way they would show, because that's kind of how Sherlock's been depicted, in, at least in, say, the Robert Downey Jr. movies. I love them showing her learning style. I mean, not style, like jiu-jitsu and fighting. Like the way they do those flashbacks again, it's fantastic.
Yes.
And that's what this movie... It very much feels like out of the Sherlock Holmes genre, but yet it's at its own thing too. And that's really nice. That it's able to be similar, but yet very different, as her and Sherlock are, as we've kind of find in this movie.
Well, I think just the fact that we've got a young female here obviously is going to make it feel different.
Yes, totally. And, talking about too, I believe, as I said, that this has great characters and great development. It has great relationships, because there are truly touching moments between the mother, who is played by
Helena Bottom Carter.
I let her say it. Tim Burton's wife. We all know her that way.
Yeah.
But there are some incredibly touching moments between the two of them that are heartfelt, some that are humorous, some that are heartfelt. And then all of the moments, but to me, between Enola and Sherlock Holmes, who is played by the gorgeous Henry Cavill.
The gorgeous. I like it. True.
All of the moments between Enola and Sherlock have emotion to them. They have some weight. Like there's some substance behind them. And I truly, especially upon my second viewing,
me too.
Found some of the moments with Sherlock and Enola. And in fact, one of them I have as a standout scene, and I guess I'll just go ahead and talk about it now. But for those, of course, of you who have watched, when she has been sent to that awful school by her brother Mycroft, Sherlock shows up to talk to her. And that whole conversation that they have is
very emotional.
It's very emotional and heartwarming. I mean, heartfelt. And especially when he tells her that our mom thought you were, what does he say, magnificent? Remarkable. And he says, and I think you're remarkable.
As do I.
Yeah, as do I. It's just such a touching scene. And then he says to her, because this whole movie, to me, the themes of this movie are to find your own path. Like, be your own person. And I find that to be a very refreshing theme in today's time when people seem so hell-bent on tribalism. As opposed to being your own thinker and your own person.
Right.
So I find this story like very fitting for our day and age of, maybe don't just fit into a tribe, but as Enola is and as Sherlock is, be your own person.
Be a free thinker. Be an individual.
Yes. So, but anyway, so he says to her, of course, this is set back, when women had very little rights. And in fact, that's up for debate in this movie, of course, the vote that's going to happen that would allow, actually, I believe this vote, I'd have to look at the history, it had more than just women. It was certain types of men even, I believe, that would have been given more
Yeah, and I think this
rights.
is in like the very early 1900s, is like when she's 16.
I think because
she was born in like the late 1800s.
Okay, I forget the timing of it. But anyways, so Sherlock says to her, the choice is always yours. Whatever society may claim, it can't control you. And that whole scene to me was just so heartfelt between her and her brother Sherlock. Just fantastic scene.
And I was going to say, like when you said when you rewatched it and their dynamic, I kind of see now watching it again from earlier on their interaction, he has an interest in her.
Yes.
Even though he is kind of aloof, and I guess that is very much Sherlock, he does kind of take notice because he does notice things. That is also part of who he is. And I think he does notice, like, wow, this isn't, the average girl or the average little sister.
Well, and with that, let's just kind of move into Sherlock Holmes, played by Henry Cavill. Because he is, he kind of, they indicate that Sherlock is quite a bit older, both Mycroft and Sherlock are quite a bit older than Enola, and had left after their father died. So they had very little to do with Enola most of her life because they left and were doing their own things in life.
I mean, they didn't even recognize her at the train station.
No, yes, they make
initially.
that point. That's how out of touch they've been as far as, and that, to me, that becomes a theme. It's kind of about family. And Sherlock really, I think, picks that up because he kind of keeps getting gently and sometimes not gently kind of rebuked for how he just dropped Enola.
Yeah.
The jiu-jitsu trainer calls him out on it. The maid in the house calls him out on it. Enola kind of,
Oh, she definitely does.
Calls him out on it.
A couple times.
So, but I love it. Most of them are more gentle. The jiu-jitsu trainer's a little more forthcoming. But I love that there's a humility in his character that he doesn't get puffed up. Like, he truly takes
You
in.
can tell he takes it in.
He takes it in, and you see throughout the movie, he realizes, I did kind of abandon my little sister after our father died. Like, she may have needed me, and maybe I could be a good figure in her life. And he does begin to take note of her. And I love how as Enola goes off on her mystery to find her mother and then ultimately to figure out the young man, Lord Tewkesbury, I forget how you say his name.
Where is it?
Right there.
Lord Viscount
Tewkesbury. I think it's Tewkesbury.
I think you spelled that wrong because it looks more like Tewkesbury.
No, I think that's how it's spelled. I got it off of Google. But yes, when she goes off on her journey, I love how Sherlock is basically following her all the way. So it's kind of like, even though it's Enola's movie, Sherlock very much hovers in this movie as far as his presence.
Yes.
And is following her. And I just think there's so much character development in their relationship between the two. Like, by the end of the movie, you really are excited for a second movie where you could see them grow in their relationship even more. Because I definitely believe it's kind of like the mother, Enola, and Sherlock are all kind of kindred spirits to one another. And maybe Mycroft, we don't know what they depicted their dad like in this particular entry into this franchise, but you would almost seem like maybe he's more like his dad, maybe.
Or like a traditionalist, or...
Well, he's definitely a traditionalist, but my point is the other two, that side is more... Mycroft is intelligent in his own way, but it's always kind of a running joke that Sherlock is so much more intelligent.
And he might not be the most free thinking from what I pick up from this movie.
Yeah, he just works for the government and kind of stuff like that. Just kind of goes with the way society was in that time. Where Sherlock is definitely more his own man and just kind of probably honestly didn't really care until they begin to make him think about it, honestly. I think you see that throughout the movie. But yeah, I think that they are just such great. All three of those characters are kindred spirits, and you definitely see that budding relationship between Sherlock and Enola, and it's just very touching.
She's definitely earned his respect by the end.
Totally. Like, he genuinely is honest. He's honestly, well, and even in that scene that I mentioned, he gives her advice that she uses in finding the killer, the killer of the Lord Tewkesbury's dad, and who's trying to kill them at that point. So he gives her advice, but when he goes to the police station at the end and he tells him, your sister was already here, he genuinely lets out that humorous laugh as he walks away. But my point is
I told Michelle I'm going to start doing that randomly.
Ha! Oh gosh,
I'm just going to do it to her.
Where Mycroft and Sherlock have more of a kind of a rivalry, you can tell he doesn't have that with Enola. He's genuinely like happy that she beat him. Like, it genuinely excites his heart.
Pleases him.
Yes, it pleases him. Like, oh, she's on my level. Almost like Mycroft isn't. He's kind of slow, but she's on my level.
Maybe there's another person as smart as me.
Yeah, like he's genuinely excited about it. And then, of course, he uses Enola's kind of coded way to send a message, telling her it's their mother, and Enola's smart enough to figure out, and Sherlock was smart enough to know she would be smart enough to figure it out, which I like at the end. But I like that she leaves. Well, first he gives her that cone that they set that up in the first scene with them together where they really talk. The dog.
The little Cavalier King Charles replica that was a cone with little ears on it.
Yes. And so I like that he sees that she did come and was smart enough to hide from him. But we also see key point. We see, because Mycroft, who is played by Sam Claflin, we see, of course, he is, what do they call him? Not a lord over them, but
the ward.
The ward.
He's the ward of Enola.
Yes, like she would be in his care. But I like at the end of the movie, Sherlock specifically says, like, I will be her ward.
Yeah.
Like, she can be in my care. And just showing you again.
Whereas before,
he just didn't care, really.
Yeah, and when she kind of begged him at the beginning, please do something, Sherlock. And you could tell, like, it actually did pull at him a little bit, but, ultimately he was like, I'm sorry, I just can't, but it's like, he's come a long way.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And so that's what, again, like you said, he's come a long way. There's a lot of character development, as I said, in this movie that I think is excellent. And that kind of leads into, we do have, as I said, Mycroft. And Mycroft is kind of, viewed as a jerk in this movie. But I did say, as I said in my non-spoiler review, I think, like, to his credit, and I think you almost see his attitude shift a little at the end. Just a little bit. Not much, but a little bit.
Or at least that he's not going to be as harsh.
Yes. I think, I really do believe it was in his narrow way of thinking, he thought he was helping his sister. Like, because if you even pick up in that end scene with him and Sherlock, he's embarrassed by Sherlock. It's not just her.
Right.
He's embarrassed by him because he's not doing what, in his mind he should be doing. So,
Because Mycroft, I take it he's a very straight-laced guy.
yeah, that works for the government, has like a good job in the government.
And he's very much about being respected,
Yes.
And yeah, and like Michelle said, and we discuss, I guess it's like we forget sometimes, as awful as he seemed at times, in his mind, he was giving Enola a great opportunity to become a wife and a mother because that's really all there was.
Yeah.
You wanted to find that security in life. So at that time, he thought he was doing her a service.
Yes, and you definitely pick up that, at least in this movie, that he kind of has issues with the mother, like,
Yes.
in it. Well, obviously they weren't close to the mother. They never came back and visited her.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, here's our money, but I do think by the end of it, he's even beginning to shift, and I feel like, which I hope they do more of these movies, I feel like if there are more of these movies, hopefully we see his character soften in general.
Yeah.
There'll always be that kind of rival because he ultimately feels beneath Sherlock. So sometimes he's almost harsh because of his insecurities. But I think, hopefully he gets better as they go on.
Yes.
And I guess in the novels, their relationship does get a little better as they go on. Anything else too? We've already brought up his name that I can't ever say. Lord
Tewkesbury.
Yeah, Tewkesbury. I thought him and Enola's, even his introduction, her being in the cart on the train, and him coming out of the luggage, they just had a very humorous friendship throughout that kind of buds into a very tasteful young romance, possibly, they kind of hint at. But I thought...
Yeah, very tasteful. And I like the way, in this movie, she is the female, unlike so often in past movies, she kind of is his knight in shining armor, and helps him. But then, they mutually like each other, and I think he genuinely cares about her, and they make a great team.
Yes. Yeah, they definitely do. What does she call? She calls him a nincompoop.
Yeah, it was just funny because it was kind of out of nowhere, and you're a nincompoop.
but they genuinely make me laugh throughout all of it. And, it too, by the end of it, because they tell you at the beginning her mom named her Enola, which when spelled backwards means alone. And she realizes at the end of it, that doesn't mean she has to be alone. Just, she can make her own decisions, make her own journey. But she realizes, whether it's Sherlock, whether it's Tewkesbury, that she doesn't have to actually be alone. She can have that companionship.
Right.
But it is about her making her own path too.
Yes.
And by the end of it, you really, again, I really want I hope this is at least a trilogy that Netflix does. I take a series if they want to do 4 of them or so.
Yeah.
But, just great cast with it. And I would love to see, I guess in some of the novels, her and Sherlock team up. I would love to see some of that.
Yes.
Because Sherlock, I did say in our non-spoiler review, I wish that Henry Cavill, who plays him very straight-laced, would give us a little more of his kind of quirky wildness that we always kind of depict, or Sherlock's usually depicted as, just doing funky, weird things. So I would like a little more of that from Henry.
More than just the, ha!
Yeah, but I really enjoyed his character regardless. Kind of anything else, Natalie, that you want to say about these movies?
I really liked it, and particularly also just one last touching moment that really got me was her and her mother when they finally reunite.
At the end.
And the mother, you can tell she's a little bit prideful, as some parents are. Like, she doesn't want to go straight to I'm sorry, but when Enola's kind of not having it, and, it's kind of standoffish, which, how could you not be?
Yeah, she left you on your 16th birthday.
And as she had said previously, like, my mother's my world, and it's just sweet and all of itself. But she, when she finally says, I'm sorry, and she says, like, I didn't leave because I didn't love you. I did this because I couldn't imagine you living in this world, or I wanted to change the world for you, not realizing you were going to be the one to change the world. And so it's just like, and they hug, and it's very, very sweet and well acted.
Yes, of course, because, for those, if you guys have not watched and you're listening, I guess you're spoiled at this point, but of course her mother was working with the vote that would affect women being able to vote and things like that. It was a very touching scene. And I was, though, maybe you guys that have watched, you guys share in the comments, I know her mother had explosives, like, I mean, but I guess she hadn't yet blown anything up.
Maybe you want to put those away.
So I was still a little confused if she hadn't blown things up, why she couldn't be around Enola much. That was my one. I've watched it twice.
Yeah, it's like, you guys can hang out now.
Yeah, well, and she sees the plans, and that's why I couldn't figure out, are they implying she already blew something up or not? I'm not really sure. So if you guys watching especially, if you know the answer to that, why don't you write that in the comment? Because that was the comments. That was the one kind of little thing I was like, just a little confused on.
Yeah.
But, and then we need to bring up Lord Tewkesbury.
Getting it, Michelle.
His grandmother was awful.
God.
And the second time around watching, I mean, her voice is like nails on a chalkboard.
And I was just like, my gosh, she just shot him.
I mean, she shot. My jaw dropped the first time I watched that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh. And then I was like, no, there's no way they're gonna let him die in this type of movie. And then of course, he had the breastplate on and was fine. But yeah, his
it was shocking though. I mean, I didn't know. He seemed pretty dead.
Yeah, his grandmother was terrible.
She was awful.
She was really, really awful. And I will say too, one thing, because I thought it was good progression. I love that, and it's so great too that they show throughout those flashbacks how Enola has developed these skills that you see her having.
To where it's realistic.
Yeah, she's been taught them her whole life. And, oh gosh, there's one flashback. The way it's said, her mom says, like, don't do something because other people tell you, especially men. It's like the way she says it. It reminded me of like Ricky Bobby's mom in The Waterboy when he's like, girls are the devil. like it kind of... It was just said like in a very quirky, funny way that it made me kind of laugh.
And also because of that, though, it's kind of that flashback shortly before, if I'm remembering correctly, she's like, she realizes it's kind of like the little sheep that was about to go over the thing. It was like, he's that sheep right now. He needs my help.
Yeah, for the guy.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Sorry, I've got a hair in my mouth. All right, better.
But anyways.
We don't do editing or I'd edit that out.
Anyways, what was it? But in the flashbacks, I really enjoy, or not even the flashbacks. In the course of this movie, there's a move in jiu-jitsu. What is it called? The corkscrew? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so.
And Enola tries it twice in the movie and fails both times. So I love that they show that she's failed twice, and at the very last moment with that villain, she gets it. Oh, that made my jaw drop when that guy's temple smashes into that thing.
Yeah,
I was like,
kind of shocking.
I was like, dang, he's dead. I mean, that was pretty brutal.
I actually thought he was kind of dead on impact, but then he kind of hung around for another...
I was like, that's unrealistic. He would just die. But I like that she failed at twice, and then boom, she's able to get it that last time. So I enjoyed that little aspect of it.
One more cute thing between her and Sherlock I was just thinking about. Remember at the beginning of the movie when her mother leaves, and he says, you're emotional, understandable, but unnecessary. And so when it kind of the tables have turned and he's expressing emotion, she says, the same thing to him.
Yeah, you're emotional.
Understandable, but unnecessary.
I did really like that.
That was cute.
And he just kind of takes it in at that point because he realized she called him on what he told her.
Right.
When he was being so unemotional.
Insensitive.
Yeah, insensitive. So, any other thoughts? I mean, I've watched it twice. I really enjoy this movie. I would still give it 5 out of 5 stars for a Netflix movie. If for some reason you haven't watched it and are listening to this or watching this, I definitely recommend watching Enola Holmes.
It's a good time.
Yeah, and I really hope we get more because I think the characters are great. The acting is great. I would love this entire cast back. Netflix, make it happen. Let's get part 2 in the works right now.
Let's get it trending on Twitter.
Yeah, let's get that. Yeah, Enola Holmes 2. Make Enola Holmes 2 happen. We'll do that. But I think that's kind of I've wrapped up my thoughts. So now we will move into the portion for everyone that has been waiting of how to get the Baby Yoda pup. Okay, this is how we're going to do that. And I will try to upload both the audio, the podcast version, and the YouTube version at the exact same time. So if you're listening on podcast, jump over to our YouTube channel and write in the comment of this video and you may win. Okay, So whoever answers, should we make them answer both of these questions, or whoever answers one of two of these questions first? We'll let Natalie decide how difficult this is going to be.
We could do both questions.
Okay. Whoever answers both of these questions in the chat first wins the Baby Yoda Funko Pop.
When you say the chat, you mean the comments?
Yes, the comment. Okay. So, the first question is, what Hunger Games movie does Sam Claflin, who of course is in this movie, does his character Finnick Odair die? So which Hunger Games movie does Finnick die in? And the second question is, what is Eleven's legal name by Stranger Things season 3? So what is her name? What is her legal name? Would they call her when she goes to school? And whoever answers those two questions, we will see, and we will be sending you the Baby Yoda Funko Pop. So may the odds ever be in your favor.
Yes.
So that is it for this episode of Force of Light Entertainment. We appreciate you all for joining and encourage you to check some of our other episodes, both on podcasts and on our YouTube channel, and subscribe to both podcasts and our YouTube channel.
And you can look for a new podcast episode every Sunday.
Yes. And if you're watching, go ahead and give a thumbs up to this episode, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And if you want to reach out to us, you can find us at Force of Light. We're everywhere podcasts are for those watching. Also, you can find us at Force of Light Entertainment on Instagram and Twitter. And I am Michelle34 Smith on each. Natalie, where can they find you?
I am Natalie R. Grace on Twitter and NatLovesBella07 on Instagram.
And that is it. We appreciate you all again. And again, join the conversation. And next time, let's talk some more movies. All right. See you guys.